Well, hello there. That last walk that I did between Alexandria and Killearn, it didn't quite hit the spot for me. And sometimes you've just got to head for the hills. Yeah, so today we're heading for the hills. I'm in Peebles. I'm going to be doing a short part of the Cross Borders Drove Road between here and West Linton. It's about 12.5 miles. As I say, it's the actual route. I mean, the Cross Borders Drove Road, it's a long distance walking trail in the borders area of Scotland. It's about 56 miles in total. This particular section, we're not going on to the top of any hills, but we will be in and among the hills. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So without further ado, I've got my pies, 2 pies. It's a 2-pie walk. It's adventure time. Well, we're not long out of Peebles and we're already starting to get pretty decent views. Sort of hills and the kind of typical kind of rolling borders landscape that is just so utterly beautiful. And just sort of there's a kind of smaller Hamilton Hill, which we will be kind of skirting, going round the right hand side of that. I can't imagine this walk goes up much higher than this today, to be honest. Might go up a wee bit. When I come up the lane there, I think just like the Alexandria to Killearn walk, the track that I come up is in places cobbled with very rough cobbles, and in places it's also sort of flattish bedrock, you know, where there's no need to cobble it. And then this was at one time a drove road hundreds of years ago, folk leading their cattle miles, tens and tens of miles to some market somewhere, I don't know, north of England maybe. I mean, Falkirk can't be that far away, I don't know which is nearer, north of England maybe. And these were really just avenues that you would use to lead your cattle in the most efficient way, you know, without kind of maybe having to cross rivers and such like. And It is an enclosed avenue, you know. In this case you've got a, I think you've got a, yeah, you've got a dry stone wall either side of it. It's just to make sure your animals don't head off right or left. The only way they can go is straight ahead. And in some places, in other parts of this cross-border drove road, you can see that where there maybe isn't walls, they've built, I think, earthen banks, again just to provide a boundary on one side that your animals aren't going to go over and sort of try to escape from you. Anyway, well, I could probably, if I had a seat, I could sit here all day and just look at that. You just can't beat the Scottish borders. After you've been on one of these long distance walking trails, you know, whether you're doing the whole thing or just a day at a time, but about an hour or so, you know, having been on the actual trail itself, you start to get a feel for that path and the route. You start to understand better how well it might be waymarked with signs, and how frequently you're going to have to refer to your map. I've said it many times, but it's crucial that you know how to read a map. It's Ordnance Survey Land Ranger map. Today's walk's actually a 2-map job. It's not just a 2-pie job, it's a 2-map job. As I say, it's crucial because the area is festooned with paths and tracks. They're not all the cross borders drove road. Here's a sign for it here. I've seen a couple of signs saying something like Tweed Trails or something, and if you were pretty clueless, you might think that could be the way. And it's not, you know. I mean, you're not always going to get these places that you need them, so it's important that you know how to read your map. So buy yourself some maps. That's today's lesson. Well, I'm making good time. I'm almost heading towards the edge of one map, soon be on to my second map. And I'm sitting just after a steading called Stewarton, and there's a division here. The way I'm going is obviously heading towards West Linton, but I could actually go that way, an old sort of post road towards Edilton, I think it is, Edilton. Passed it in a bus. It looked like a lovely little place, nice looking inn. I think when I said this is a 2-pies walk, I've got 2 pies, but I suspect I'm just going to eat one. I'll keep one probably for my tea later on. But it's always good to have a spare pie just to be on the safe side. For emergencies, an emergency pie. Best kept in a glass case with a wee hammer on a bit of cord so that you can break it when the emergency arises. Now this is just a mutton pie topped with mashed potatoes. and I think it was Forsyth's, the bakers in the High Street in Peebles. Smells good. For goodness sake, right. It's emergency pie. It's a good pie. The pie casing is tasty and it's crisp. It's also thin. This is, as I say, a mutton pie topped with mashed potatoes. Very nice. I was up at 4:30 this morning, so early breakfast. I'm starving right now. 12:30. I'd set up the camera in the middle of the road back there to get a shot. There was essentially no traffic on the road, and you'd think you would hear cars coming. In fact, I could see the road going on for miles. And I'd taken the footage and I lifted the camera, and suddenly a car came accelerating round the bend. Where that car came from, I have not got a clue, because there was no warning. I didn't see it come, I didn't hear it. I only heard it when it came round the bend. I don't know if he got a fright, but I certainly did. It's difficult not to like the Scottish borders. It's such a lovely landscape of rolling hills. It's just beautiful. I think I could live here. As you get closer to England, you find that the people in these towns and villages take more care of their beer, and they like their beer. The pubs are invariably very attractive places. The people like local beer and they'll drink local beer. Whereas up towards Glasgow and what have you, okay, Tennant's Lager, that's a local beer, a lot of people will drink that, but I think far too many people will go into a pub and just automatically ask for a pint of Peroni or some other foreign nonsense ending in a vowel. They don't seem to think about, maybe I should support local businesses, drink local stuff. I don't get it. I would quite happily move to England for that one reason alone. They like their beer better. Local beer. And that last video that I did of the walk between Alexandria and Killearn, I ended the video with that hazy pint that I wasn't really that impressed with. And I actually contacted the brewery, and apparently it is meant to be hazy. It's an unfiltered beer, as somebody pointed out to me in one of the comments. It's an unfiltered beer and it can be a bit hazy. It's meant to be like that. I didn't know that. I'm looking at it and think, what? I'm not happy, you know. As an old guy, I find beer difficult these days. it used to be the case that there was a clear division between real ale and keg beer. Keg beer was filtered and pasteurised and generally lacking in flavour and character in the same way that real ale had lots of flavour and character. And if you drank real ale and you got a cloudy pint or one that was a bit hazy, you thought, oh, that's not so good. Just take it up to the counter, you get something different. But it's not so clear cut these days. It's the distinction between real ale and keg beer isn't as clear as it once was. Some keg beers are not filtered, for example. Some keg beers are, I mean, there's different levels of pasteurisation. Maybe once the case that keg beer was just got pasteurised to kill bugs, make it last longer. But these days, some of the breweries are varying their pasteurisation temperature and time so to kill off some stuff, but retain a lot of flavour. So you know that distinction between the real ale and keg beer is almost gone. And some keg beers, as I say, are meant to be hazy. Some are even meant to be sour. There are sour beers. I've even seen beers that are red. Not a red ruby beer, but red, balloon red sort of colour. And in that respect, I think it must surely be more difficult for the customer to tell if his beer is okay or not. How can you tell with all these kind of overly hopped beers with so much hop character that they're designed to blow your mouth off, or if they're sour beers or cloudy? How are you supposed to tell? You know, if that beer is past its best before date, in other words, it's off, it shouldn't be drunk. There's that much stuff going on in that glass that it must be nigh impossible to tell that, because all these strong flavours and things will mask any off flavours that there may be. And I don't like it, you know. Typical old moaning guy, you know. But there's something I don't like about it, you know. I think one of the best beers that I've had recently is one brewed by the Broughton Brewery. It's about 6.2%. I think it's called Hoppo or something. There's another one with a kind of similar name, but this one's about 6.2%, so very strong. It's got a lovely smell and flavour. It smacks to me of an old style beer that is quite beautiful. Not cloudy, not overly hopped, not sour, etc. I think they use crystal malt and one other type of malt. I mean, I personally would like to see a beer made just from crystal malt and Golding's hops. As simple as that. Could somebody do that and let me know so that then I could go and sample it for free? That's a challenge to any Scottish breweries out there. Crystal malt and Golding's hops. Obviously the yeast is going to play a big part in the actual end result, flavour of the beer. Or try just crystal malt and Golding's hops with a range of maybe half a dozen different types of yeast and see which one people prefer. Anyway, if I rabbited on long enough, I have a tendency to drink too many beers sometimes and make a bit of an idiot of myself. Drinking too many beers is never good for anybody, but that's lesson 2 from today's walk. Anyway, I'm going to get thrown into this. I'll see you further on in the walk. Listen. utter silence. I don't think I've ever been in a colder or quieter forest than this. And if you look behind me, the trap is sprung. Well, back there was a typical example of how things could go wrong. I have taken the right path, I'm quite happy, but you had a fork or a branch where there was actually a choice of 3 routes, this one and 2 others. And if you were to take the wrong path, all 3 of them are going into the hills. You know, so if you take the wrong one, you're going into the hills, miles away from where you really had hoped to be. And that triplet of paths was by the Flemington Burn. So this is why it's crucial that you both have a map and you know how to read it, and even a compass. I felt quite happy in taking the path that you have done without having to use my compass. But if you have to use your compass, then so be it, no shame in that. I mean, there was not one of the 3 indicated the route for the Cross Borders Drove Road. You know, so it's an example of not relying too much on waymarker signs. Up till now, I think the path's been pretty well marked, if I'm honest. There has been a few areas where you could get confused. But, you know, there was a little kind of sign saying the Romano Bridge, then another sign pointing towards some sort of kirk. I mean, I can see Romano Bridge. I'm actually not going into Romano Bridge, but that's kind of, you know, I've checked the lie of the land here. I'm quite happy this is it. I can see a wee bit of thin strip of trees up there, all of which are on my map. But as I say, there was also mention of some sort of kirk, which isn't on my map. Or if it is, I can't see it. What's the point in mentioning something that isn't on a Land Ranger map, you know? Anyway, it's just further, just another example of the need to have a map and compass and to know what the heck you're doing. Well, I don't think I've ever opened and closed more gates in all my life. I mean, there's obviously a lot of sheep around and they all have to be kept in their own little area. But my goodness, some of these gates don't really want to be opened. We're not far from West Linton, and I'm going to end the video here. If I've got time up there, I'll maybe take some footage. I don't know how busy it will be up there with traffic. It is apparently a conservation village, so I expect it to look reasonably pretty and old. Just noticed as I was coming along the edge of the field here, just and also at the edge of this woodland, an awful lot of these trees have got little pink marks on their trunks. I don't know if you can see it from there. These 4 trees just there have all got pink marks on them. Quite strange. I know that sometimes when farmers are breeding their sheep, they'll maybe put a kind of some coloured paint on the underside, I think, of the ram. And that way they kind of know how many of their sheep that the ram has mated with, because all the sheep will have a kind of little, some of that paint on their rear end and such like, you know. So I'm just wondering if maybe a ram has run amok and tried to mate with some of the trees here. What do you think? I'm Eddie Burns. Bye for now.